Good morning, everyone. I'm here today to show you a quick card using this Making Everyday Bright set. This set is actually retiring at the end of the month. It is a set that coordinates with the Bulb Builder Punch. So you can see here the Bulb Builder Punch. And this one goes with the Making Christmas Bright stamp set as well that will be sticking around, but the Making Everyday Bright set is going to retire. So I wanted to just show you all the possibilities with this very cute stamp set. So I showed you yesterday the little penguins. Today's card we're going to actually be using the light bulbs. And so we're going to get started with the Stamparatus actually, because this is the quickest way to make bulbs. So all you have to do is line your stamps up inside a little stencil. Well, here, actually, I'll just peel them off to show you how I did this. So I just set down my stencil, and actually I might move this over just a little bit. So I set down my stencil, I place the stamps inside the borders that I used the punch to cut out. So I've just punched this already into just a piece of scrap paper, and then I place my stamps so that they line up perfectly with those punches. And then I close my Stamparatus on it. Now I can stamp that image, and every time I stamp it, I'm going to be able to cut it out perfectly. And then I just keep these little stencils in my Stamparatus bag so that I always have them available. So now that I've got that done, and that's all lined up, I'm just going to take a piece of white, Whisper White cardstock, and place it on my Stamparatus. And then using some smoky slate ink today, I'm going to ink up my image and stamp that. Let's move this down a bit so you can see a bit better. Then I open that up. I just slide this along. I can just double check where that's going to stamp and slide this so I'm not using up too much of my paper, so get the most out of that. Ink that up again, and there we go. Stamp that. I'm actually going to stamp 5 of these little guys today. Easier to move if I take that magnet off. Here we go. Alright, that's a good spot. So ink that up. And I'm not too worried about getting ink on my plate today. I find that this particular stamp is small enough that I don't get a lot of smudges and stuff. So I'm just going to keep moving this along. You just want to make sure that these are spread apart enough that when you are punching them out, you've left a little bit of a border around them. It's not a huge border, but just a little bit, so you don't want them too close to each other. There we go. I got 5 of those stamped. I can put away my ink, and I can put away my Stamparatus for now. Alright, set that off to the side. So using that idea of a stencil when you're stamping so that you can then accurately use your punches. And actually, I'm just going to color these quickly before I punch these out. So I've got Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to color in just a little heart on 4 of these. And then on one of them, I'm going to take the heart stamp that comes in the set, and I'm going to ink it up with some Melon Mambo and stamp that over top. And I love the photopolymer so I can truly line it up. There we go. Stamp that over top of the heart. So I've got one that just stands out a little bit. There we go. I can put those materials off to the side. Now I'm actually going to punch these out. So as you can see, because I lined them up with my stencil, I can just slide this in, and these punch out very nicely because they're all lined up. So just a little bit of a time savings thing. Oh, except I keep losing my ends because of how I punch them out. There we go. Found it. So really when you punch these, you should kind of line it up. Get a little bit of pressure on it so that you stay lined up. And then if you flip it upside down, you won't lose your bits. There we go. And once more. All right, so we've got all of our light bulbs punched out now. Now we're gonna kind of put them together. And the way I like to do that is actually by using the two-way glue. And so normally I would say put your glue on your small bits, but for this particular project, I don't want to have glue on the backs and sticking to my finger. So I'm actually just going to glue the very bottoms of the light bulbs, and then I'm going to take these little pieces here and attach it like that. I've also done these where I've just punched out the bases in some silver foil, and it adds a really nice look. But this particular card, I want it to be quite subtle, the actual light bulb, and so I want that heart to really stand out. So here we go, glue that on. Yeah, just a few more of these to go. And so you don't have to do this. You could just punch or just stamp these images separately onto the piece of paper, and if you're using a gray or some kind of darker color for your base, it actually covers up the stamp itself, and you don't actually have to do this punching piece that I'm doing. I just think that it adds a little bit of dimension to the card, and I really like how it looks. And here we go, our last one. So, I don't know how many of you have had a chance to check out some of the retiring items, but I know I spent way too much on this sale, some really good sales, and then of course some items that I just don't want to miss out on getting that bundle pricing on. The Making Christmas Bright and the Bulb Builder Punch together are still on that 10% bundle pricing, and although both of those items will be sticking around in the new catalog, they will lose their bundle pricing as of January 3rd. So something to consider if this is a stamp set that you enjoy. So now I'm going to grab a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to stamp the strings for the light bulbs. And I'm going to use some smoky slate to do that. So when I am stamping this, I actually like to use my grid paper to help line this up, just so that I get it fairly straight. So put some ink on there. Now I did get some ink on the edge of this block, so I'm just going to grab my chamois and wipe that up because I don't want any smoky slate stripes anywhere on my card. And then I'm going to start this kind of halfway off the page, and there we go. Then I'm going to re-ink. Oh, super messy today. Clean up those edges again. And when I'm doing this one, I'm going to make sure that that center piece is overlapped and that I've lined up the other end with the black line like I did originally. So that's going to allow me to keep this fairly straight. So unfortunately I wiggled it a little bit there and got a bit of a thicker line than I wanted. Oh, and I've lost my focus. There we go. So I've wiggled it and got a bit of a longer line than I had really hoped, but that's okay. And now we're going to start attaching these light bulbs, but before I do that, I'm going to just place one of them down so that I have a general sense of where it's going to be, and I'm going to ink up this cute little stamp set that's kind of like the glow from the light bulb. So I'm going to use that Melon Mambo again, ink that up, I'm going to line it up, and then I'm going to remove, oops, not very coordinated this morning. Okay, so that's going to go there, so I'm going to remove that, do my stamp. There we go. And now I'm going to pop these on using some mini dimensionals, which were on my desk. I am still in utter Christmas chaos mode on my desk this week. Trying to get out the last of my Christmas cards this evening, I'm hoping. And then moving on to focusing on the New Year celebration and just some general Christmas fun around the house. Got gingerbread decorating going on this weekend and a trip to Grouse Mountain with my sister. So looking forward to that, although it means a little bit of time out of my stamp room. It'll be nice to focus on some family Christmas stuff instead of Christmas cards. Here we go. So just putting one dimensional at the top, one at the bottom of each of these light bulbs, and popping them onto here. Let's just do a production line system here. Get all these dimensionals on the back. So I'm also going to be posting later today or tomorrow some information about the newest paper pumpkin. For those of you who were lucky enough to get one ordered for January, well, or for December rather, those should have shipped and should be arriving by the 16th. So hopefully you enjoy that. I can't wait to see what the project actually is. And then they've just announced that the next paper pumpkin for January is actually going to coordinate with our Animal Expedition stamp set, which is super cute. It's going to be some kind of a Valentine's project. So can't wait to see that. Definitely make sure that you check out the preview images. And if you're a teacher or somebody with kids and needs to make Valentine's cards, I think this is going to be a paper pumpkin for you for sure. It's very, very cute. All right, now we're going to take a sentiment from a new celebration set. It's just the most beautiful set. If I can find it in my messy room. Here we go. This is a set that I actually received while I was at On Stage this year. It's called Part of My Story. I just love some of the sayings on here, especially the You're My Chosen Family. But today I'm going to use the Here's to Those Who Inspire Us and Don't Even Know It stamp. I just thought it kind of went with the light bulb. But I wanted to show you, these are the new cling stamps. And so I wanted to show you actually how these go together. They are much stickier than other stamps, and you actually have to be quite careful when you're putting them together. There are instructions in here, but even after having seen a video, it took me a little while to be able to follow the instructions and do this properly. So I'm thinking, let's see, what's the next one I'm going to use? Know that today a friend is thinking of you is just such a nice saying. So you actually take your sheet of stickers and you peel off the protective backing on that sticker and set that aside. Then we grab our stamp that matches those words, pull it out of the rubber, peel off your backing, and now here's where you really can't make any mistakes because this stuff is so sticky. You're going to line this up, make sure you've got it really truly lined up, because once you stick this, it is done. I'm going to lay that down on top of where the words are, and then I'm actually going to peel it off of its backing. So it's actually on its own separate backing because this stuff is sticky. Like, it's not coming off. That makes these great though, because there's no more putting them onto your blocks and having them fall off, which is just horrible. Now, one tip I have been given though is that when you store them back on this sheet. You don't want to be storing them on your case like I know a lot of us have done in the past, because they become very hard to remove from your case. So there we go. I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to keep it stored on that protective backing. Once I've actually mounted all of these, I'll peel off the excess from here so that it's just the background. But for now, I'm storing it on here, and that way it's not going to get too sticky. So I'll show you how sticky these are. I put this one on this morning. Oh, I should clean that so I don't get ink all over my hands. Okay, there we go. These are so super sticky. So you actually want to be really careful that when you start to peel it, you're getting the label as well as the stamp when you start to peel it up, because otherwise you could end up peeling your foam right off of your rubber. So you really have to get under there and get the label as well, and then it is super sticky. And so see, again, like this one, even after having been on the block and removed, it is not going anywhere. So put that back on the block, and I'm going to actually ink this one up today with my pens because I want to use a couple of different colors on this. So I'm actually going to start with my center. I'm going to use a Melon Mambo pen, and I'm going to ink up the word inspire. So I'm just actually using the side of my pen more than the tip of my pen so that I get full coverage across that word. There we go. And I'm not too worried about it drying out while I do my next color, because right before I stamp it, I will moisten it again. So here I want to kind of be careful to not get any of this gray. Unfortunately, I can't find my smoky slate pen, so I'm using gray granite. It's close enough. It will be fine. And I'm going to ink up these words. And as you can see, I'm not going to try and work across the top of that pink. I'm actually going to turn the stamp around to continue to ink up these words. There we go. So with that done, I'm just going to blow on this to re-ink that, and then stamp that on there. So there we go. We have our nice little sentiment stamped on there. And now I'm going to finish this card off by putting it onto a smoky slate background, just like that. So I'm going to grab some glue. Oh, assuming I have some down here. Interesting. I've got a whole bunch of stuff upstairs. I've been making Christmas cards while watching TV. So here we go. I'm going to use some snail. I don't usually use snail because I am not great at lining things up. Oh, and that one's out. Let's grab another one. Here we go. It's a perfectly fine adhesive for this particular project. I just have difficulties lining things up, and I prefer using that liquid glue. But here goes nothing. Wish me luck lining this up. Okay, it's already grabbed on, so hopefully that's good enough. There we go. And that's our finished card using the Making Everyday Bright stamp set. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those new cling mount stamps in action. Expect to see a lot more of those in the new year as they transition over to just the clear stamps and those cling stamps. I really love them. They don't fall off the blocks. It's a really fabulous product. That's about it for this week. I'll see you next Wednesday unless I get a chance to pop on live sometime before that. Have a great day. Bye.